Hello and welcome back! In this demo, we'll learn how to use a Retry Scope activity and explore its properties. Similar to a try-catch activity, the Retry Scope activity catches and handles errors. The Retry Scope retries the contained activities as long as a condition isn't met or an error is thrown. Using a Retry Scope can be helpful in the following situations. Consider the case of clicking a button before it's loaded and checking if the resulting pop-up comes up. Or another case of downloading a file and trying to read it before it finishes downloading. In both cases, the Retry Scope is going to run the action and check the condition like a do-while loop. Alright, are you ready to explore a use case where the Retry Scope activity comes in handy? Let's go for it! We'll start from a pre-built project, Acme Download Monthly Reports, for this demo. The purpose of this workflow is to download a monthly report from the Acme System 1 page, where our robot fills in the input fields such as vendor tax ID, the month, and the year. Then, it hits the Download Report button and saves it to a path on the drive. This is assumed to be within a loop, to loop through the months that we need out of each year. So to kickstart, we'll assume that we're already logged into Acme and we're on the Download Monthly Reports page. At the end, we should have downloaded a report for the specific input month, year, and tax vendor ID. Great! These are the arguments and their default values that we'll use in our workflow. You might be wondering why we're using arguments. This workflow is only one piece of a larger automation project that consists of many other workflows. Okay, let's go through the workflow and understand what activities we have used. We have attached the Acme Downloads Monthly Report browser using the Attach Browser activity. We've used the Type Into activity for the vendor tax ID. We've selected the year and the month from the dropdown using Click activities. Next, we have added a Click activity for the Download Report button. The Download Report will have a pop-up in Edge for the Save As. So we have added another Click activity for Save As. Finally, we have added a Type Into activity to type in the file name with the path for the project folder, and a Click activity to save it. Okay, let's run the workflow. We see that a robot fills in the details, the vendor tax ID, the month and the year, and clicks Download Report. Then there should have been a pop-up for the Save As, but it didn't come fast enough. Basically, the workflow isn't able to click Save As because the pop-up for the Save As is slow and delayed. So we have a runtime execution error stating it couldn't click Save As and it couldn't find the element because it wasn't fast enough. Let's click OK for now and hide the output panel. Now let's open the Edge browser one more time. We see that the pop-up is right here, but its appearance was slow and delayed, so our robot couldn't click Save As. Well, what do we do now? To overcome a situation like this, we can make use of Retry Scope. So we'll go back to Studio and use a Retry Scope activity to keep retrying the Click Save As activity. Let's search for it and drop it right above the Click Save As activity. This activity has two sections. The Action section is just the sequence where we can add as many activities as we want. These are the activities that will be carried out at least once. What happens to the activities within the Action section? The activities are retried if there is an error, or they're retried if the condition is set and it isn't true. Basically, we can have one to infinite number of activities in the Action section. In our case, it's just one activity, which is retrying to click Save As. The Condition section can only have 0 or 1 activity. It cannot have more activities. This activity output needs to be a Boolean value, like true or false. So at the end, after running all the actions, if the condition is checked and is false, then there will be another retry. If the condition checked is true, then there won't be a retry. It'll move to the next activity in sequence. The basic or common activities used in this are check app state, file exists, find element, check true, and check false. Any activities that return a Boolean value are valid. Great! Coming back to our project, we'll move our Click Save As activity within the Action section as we want this activity to be retried if the condition isn't met. And then we'll set the condition using CheckAppState activity. It ensures that the application is in a specific state by verifying if a UI element exists or not. At this point, we want to check if that Save As pop-up comes up. If yes, then we don't need to click Save As again. We can go ahead typing in the file name. If not, we need to retry the click activity again. Let's go back to the Edge browser and pull up that pop-up. Let's click Save As here, and have the final Save As window ready. Alright, let's go back to Studio, click Indicate on screen, and indicate the Save As window as our target. In the selection options, let's view the selector by expanding the Window Selector option, verify it using Validate option, and click Confirm once the validation is successful. Great! We got the selector that we wanted. Let's follow the best practices of renaming the activities. Thus far, we have seen how to use Retry Scope. It's time to explore its properties. The Retry Scope activity has two key properties: number of retries and retry interval. Let's check them out. We start with the number of retries, which is self-explanatory. It specifies the maximum number of times the contained activities should be executed if an exception is continually thrown or the condition isn't met. For example, if we set the number of retries equal to 2, the total number of times, or the maximum number of times the action sequence can run is 2. We'll enter 5. If we don't set any value in the number of retries field, then the default is 3. Then we have the retry interval. It's a duration. The retry interval specifies the interval of time between each retry's attempt. These are written in hour, minute, second format. We can set any value. We'll set it to 5 seconds, which is also the default. Perfect! It's time to run the workflow. But before we hit run, let's analyze what's going to happen. If there's an error from the Click Save As activity, our robot will not even check the condition. It'll retry the contained click activity. If there's no error, then it's going to check the condition. If the condition is true, that is, if the Save As window exists, as in our case, it will not retry. It'll just continue to the next activity. If the condition is false, which means there's no Save As window, we're going to wait for 5 seconds and then try the action sequence again and recheck the condition. So this is how our process works. Let's reset the browser and hit run. It works just fine. And the report is successfully downloaded. Awesome! Let's check the output panel. We see that it took just 36 seconds to run this. 5 of those seconds were where our robot was waiting for the Save As pop-up to appear. In this video, we've learned that Retry Scope allows us to build more robust automation processes that can handle errors and recover from failures more effectively. For more practice on this topic, try to download a file and read it before it finishes downloading using the Retry Scope activity. Analyze how Retry Scope is going to run the action and check the condition. That was all for this demo. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.